everyone, and welcome to the Adventures in Brain Injury podcast. My name is Kevin Ballister. I'm a severe traumatic brain injury survivor, author of How to Feed a Brain, and host of the Adventures in Brain Injury podcast. And I am so excited to be interviewing Amylee Amos of the Amos Institute. Hi, Amy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
It's phenomenal to be interviewing you here. As I've said, I'm so impressed with all of your work and everything that you're doing. So Amy Lee, why don't you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So again, Amylee Amos, I'm the founder of the Amos Institute, which is an online platform that provides education and services to help people implement a nutrition and lifestyle regimen to optimize cognitive health and reverse or prevent cognitive decline from Alzheimer's disease and other dementia. So that's what we do. A little bit, just briefly about my background. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist by trade. I received my Master of Science from the University of Southern California, the Leonard Davis School of Aging, and was able to study with some of the real greats while I was in graduate school, specifically the cell biologist and biogerontologist Walter Longo, who's done some of the really incredible work in terms of gerontology and the fasting mimicking diet and things like that. I also am a certified practitioner in functional medicine from the Institute for Functional Medicine, and currently working on my PhD in integrative and functional nutrition.
Ooh, nice, beautiful. Yeah, and it shows through in everything you do. Just like your light, your radiance, your being. Like somebody once said to me, the meaning of life is to make a positive influence on the world when you leave. And Emily, you were making such a positive influence because you're actually reversing people's cognitive. You're not doing it. You're showing people and giving people the tools to reverse their cognitive decline, and it's phenomenal. A functional medicine approach to it. Let's talk a little bit about the Bredesen protocol and how it came to be, and how it's not a drug, even though Dr. Bredesen was originally looking for a drug, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. And it's a great story. What the Bredesen protocol is in essence, it's a systems biology or a functional medicine approach at treating cognitive decline from Alzheimer's. And I've had the pleasure of working with Dale Bredesen for many years, and he's such a humble and incredibly brilliant man. And he always talks about how, when he set out and was doing this research initially back in the lab, he was certain he was going to find that one little protein or the one little compound that had to be altered ever so slightly, and then we'd get rid of this problem to begin with. And that's just not what he found. And he's approached this whole, reinvention of his view of things with such grace, and found that really the answer here is lifestyle, our environment, our nutrition, our exercise regimen, our sleep, our stress level, and is now training other people to practice this way, as is the Institute for Functional Medicine, so that we can, as you mentioned, give each individual the tools to be able to do this themselves, because we're all in control of what we eat and how we live, which is so empowering.
And as you know, empowerment is one of my favorite words in the world. And empowerment is not something that you can bottle and put in a pill. Empowerment, we can give you tools for empowerment, but ultimately it is you who is going to heal yourself. And that's the beauty of functional neurology, neurooptometry, like functional medicine, all these functional approaches. It's like it's not just fix, here's a pill to fix it, right? And the thing is, it's like, I remember reading the Bredesen protocol and being like, whew, that's a lot of things. In just, I mean, the amount of people that read that book and are like, there's no way, you know? And this is why your program, the Amos Institute, what you are doing is really, really helping people structure how they can live their life and have support throughout it all. So could you tell me more about the Amos Institute, what you guys do, and what results you've seen?
Absolutely. So what we offer, again, it's an online, it's a virtual platform. And the first thing I want to say is that we have worked tirelessly to make it an affordable and accessible program. I can't tell you how strongly I feel about that because the latest research is showing Alzheimer's disease is the third leading cause of death. This is affecting millions and millions of people. And everyone should have access to the tools that we've been talking about. Everyone should be able to afford it. So our services are, once you sign up for our program, they're lifelong benefits, never goes away, and it's $365 for our program. So we say if you just use it for 1 year, even though you get it for
Mhm.
life, it's $1 a day, which hopefully is accessible to more people, because again, this is life-saving information that we never want you know finances to be the barrier here. um, so that's really a huge component of what we offer, that we want to make this accessible to all people. And what we have are lessons that take you through these online lessons that include videos, they include lots of other types of resources, information, strategies, meal plans, all of the above, that take you through the different components of the protocol, of the systems biology approach, to get one fully immersed in each kind of component of this. And people can do this at their own speed. We've done it in such a way where you can go really quickly through these. If there's certain lessons that maybe you feel really comfortable with, if there's something else you have to spend more time on, because again, it never goes away. So someone has the ability to work their way through at their own pace and have access to individual services if they choose to take advantage of those. We also have a weekly office hours where people can submit questions. So that's just a free part of our service. They can
Mm.
submit any questions they have, and I come on once a week and answer those questions, because we don't want people to feel the way that you just described, which is, it's overwhelming. Like, where do
Mhm.
I start? I don't know if I can do this, so we're there. We believe we are there every step of the way to help someone implement this protocol into their lives, whether that happens in a month and they just go full out and do everything at once, or whether that happens over 3 years. We're there to go at their own speed.
Mhm. And that's phenomenal. That kind of support that you're giving people to be, to have something to hold back on, and accountability on it all as well. It's really a powerful platform. And thank you for making it very affordable. That's such an important piece of this. Is making it not cost prohibitive to heal yourself, and that's part of empowerment, like being able to do what needs to be done, um without spending every cent. And with that, I kind of want to pivot a little bit to the news, what just recently happened. I guess in 2020, the FDA advisory board tried this new drug called aducanumab. Can you say what it is?
Aducanumab.
Aducanumab. And they went through it, and 10 out of the 11 advisors said no, it doesn't work. It doesn't prevent cognitive or reverse cognitive decline, and it can cause problems. One of them being brain hemorrhaging, I believe. And so it wasn't approved in 2020. But then, what was it, like 2 weeks ago?
Just about.
There have been no further studies on this, and they suddenly approved it. Yeah, what are your thoughts about that?
Gosh, I mean, there's so much to unpack here. I think you've hit a lot of the main points. First of all, the drug doesn't work, right? I mean, like, we should start there, because why is a drug being approved when it doesn't work? That's
And I want to stipulate something here.
yeah,
Like, yes, it does remove amyloid plaques, which are a hallmark of Alzheimer's. However, it doesn't reverse cognitive decline, which is the like the functional aspect, the what actually happens that we want to reverse. So yeah, that's what we mean by it doesn't work. It removes amyloid plaques,
but
but
so have
it doesn't
previous
work.
other drugs
Right.
also removed amyloid plaque, and they have not been approved because they don't work. They don't help someone's symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. So the fact that it removes amyloid plaque is not so groundbreaking. I mean, it's yes, it does do that function, but we know that simply removing amyloid plaque doesn't fix the problem, because that's all based on this misconception that these extracellular plaques are the cause of Alzheimer's, and they're not. The
Mhm.
plaques are there for a reason. To address Alzheimer's disease, you need to first address those causes. And then it would be interesting to see if you had taken this systems biology functional approach to address the causes, be it inflammation or trophic withdrawal or toxicity, and get rid of those underlying root causes. And then if there's still plaque there, then potentially use a drug like aducanumab to get rid of the plaque, see if that helps things further. That would be an interesting study. But just taking away the plaque itself doesn't help people. We know that. And these drug companies know that, which is it's just
Mhm.
surprising that we're still looking at the same thing, even though it's proven time and time again not to be the answer. It's strange. I don't quite
Mhm.
understand that, but
Well,
um,
we started this conversation talking about making things not cost prohibitive, and I wanted to talk about the cost, or how much is. You said you don't understand it, and I'm like, yeah, I have a theory about it. We'll see. All right, so let's talk about the financial aspect of this. How
sure.
much will it cost for a year's supply of this drug? And I understand it's injected. Is that right?
It's an infusion.
It's an
So
infusion.
it's Biogen has said it's going to cost $56,000 per year per patient. Um,
56,000 per year.
yeah. So first of all, that number in itself is pretty startling, I think. Um, there's been a lot of commentary since that came out, though. So as you can imagine, many people who have Alzheimer's disease qualify for Medicare. And so even if, let's say, Medicare is able to pay for it, because it's an infusion, it's covered, as opposed to a drug that you take at home. It's an infusion that you need to get at a doctor's office or at a clinic. So it's going to fall under a different category of Medicare, which means that the beneficiary will be required to pay for, I believe it's 20% of the out of pocket of the cost, which is somewhere around 11,000 some odd dollars um, per year. So even if they were to qualify for Medicare, the cost is still astronomical for the average person. And in addition to that, we have to consider the who else is going to bear the brunt of this cost. And the states will all take a big hit. And so some of the top experts who have been writing in this are predicting that many states will cut from other budgets, including their education budgets, which is just all around it's upsetting that a drug is going to cost this much, and it's going to take such a huge toll both on our healthcare system and potentially on um, so many other things as well. And to go back to your initial point, who's going to benefit from this? Well, Biogen is set to make billions of dollars off of the sale of this drug, which you can imagine given the cost.
And more importantly, who's not going to benefit from this are the people who are being treated by it. And it's very it's pretty unbelievable to me that we're going to approve a drug that doesn't work,
Yeah.
that costs this much money, and I think it sets a precedent of
Yes.
what the how the FDA handles things. You know, even though all what is it, 10 out of 11 of the medical advisors on this and so this is another thing. What happened? Some of those advisors, I'm told, have resigned since this decision.
Yeah.
Could you tell me what more you could tell me about that?
Yeah, the last I heard, three of them had resigned, stating, and some of them, they've been very vocal about this. I've seen them interviewed on national news and quoted all over the place through different news outlets because of what you just said, the very scary precedent that this sets. If the FDA is able to approve a drug off of such poor research that doesn't show the efficacy, where do we go from here? Who are we left to trust? And on a very personal note, my Nana, the reason I founded the Amos Institute, my grandmother, she suffered from Alzheimer's disease for 12 years. When she was diagnosed, um, our family was there at the neurologist's office, trying to take in all of the information. And I remember when the neurologist, gave the prescription for the drugs that she needed to take. And it never even crossed any of our minds to ask, is this effective? Is this going to help her? Was this approved for the right reasons? That didn't even, we
Hmm.
never even for 1 second thought to ask questions like that. We just assumed, I mean, if the doctor's telling us to do this, it's got to be good, it must help. And immediately filled those prescriptions. Luckily, they weren't anywhere near the cost of aducanumab, but even if they were, we would have done anything as a family to figure out a way to pay for it. And that's who my heart goes out to, the people who are going to assume that anything this expensive must work. And they're going to take out second mortgages and loans and credit cards in order to pay for this for their loved one when there's no chance that this is going to help that person, that patient. That's who this is. It's just so upsetting for that person because the average person doesn't know to ask these questions. I was that person and I didn't know. So I think that's who this is the saddest for.
It's so true. It's so true. And what really blows my mind is, don't they have an advisory committee for a reason? Like, are you really gonna have an advisory committee, have them look into it? 10 out of 11 of them say no, don't approve this drug. And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, all right, we considered that. We're gonna do it anyways.
Right. I think that's what these people who have resigned, I think that's what they're thinking. It's like, why did you have us
Yeah.
give our opinion if you were going to completely disregard the conclusion we came to?
Yeah. Yeah. Unbelievable. And the perception of the world, really, as you said, is that the doctors know what they're doing, and the FDA, the regulations are in order for a reason. And so you can trust the what is being brought down the pipeline. And with me working to improve uh, recovery potential in brain injury survivors and others afflicted with neurological conditions like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, strokes, seizures, things of that sort. Um, there, it's become very apparent to me that a lot of these things are not to be trusted, and you have to empower yourself. You have to do your own research. You have to look at this yourself, and that's a lot of responsibility to place on
Yes.
everyone.
Absolutely. And back to the neurologists, I've spoken now to several neurologists to get their takes on this. And many of them have said they're getting nonstop phone calls to their offices, of people, family members, patients who want this drug, who have just heard, this first time in 18 years that there's a new Alzheimer's drug and they want it. And some of those neurologists are taking a really firm stance and saying, I'm not prescribing this, and having that hard conversation with their patients, which I admire that in them, because that's got to be a tough conversation to have. And others are saying, if this is what the patient wants, I'm not gonna tell them no. If they're willing to risk the side effects, if they're willing to spend the money, then I'm gonna give them what they want. So I think we have all ends of the spectrum in regards to how the neurologist, who's really on the front line dealing with this in regards to patients, how they're going to handle it, which it'll be interesting to see how this continues to unfold.
Yeah, I remember before heard the news about this. I was at a gym in a hotel in Portland, I believe, a couple weeks ago, and I was working out, and they had the TV on. I barely ever watch TV, but the TV was on, and they were touting this new pharmaceutical, this new Alzheimer's drug. And of course, maybe me, I'm kind of rolling my eyes over there, and just realizing that there are millions of people seeing this ad, and as you know, Alzheimer's is very prevalent, and it destroys lives. And when you're at that place, it's a state of desperation, and it's like, what can be done? You'll do everything. Like, no stone is left unturned, right? And it's what you realize. You can't overturn a stone if you never see it, if it's not on your path, right? So I'm watching this, and I'm thinking about how many countries are direct to consumer pharmaceutical advertising. Does that how many places is that the case? Do you know the answer to that?
I don't, but that's a great question.
I'm told it's two. I'm told it's the US and New Zealand. Maybe Canada also. At least that's what it was like a couple decades ago. Um, I'll check back in with that, but it's like, I mean, there's a reason why it's not legal because it's like it's not giving it's not getting the patient what's in their best interest from a trained healthcare provider, but instead is allowing advertisement, which is designed to trigger our limbic systems, fight or flight, just uh, need and desperation triggers, which is very predictable behavior in that way. So, yeah, I think we're both a little upset about it, aren't
But I,
we?
I think we should be. And so at the Amos Institute, we've encouraged our community to write letters, to whether it's the FDA or to the Department of Health and Human Services, to Congress people in our districts, whatever it may be, because if you feel strongly about these issues, we should have our voices heard. Nothing else. We should say that we care about this, that we care we care about not only our own health and the health of our community, but we care about the laws that regulate that health and
Mm-hmm.
what goes into all of that. So we have a voice, all of us. And so I would encourage everybody to use it, to use that voice.
All right, yeah, and maybe we can talk and find a way to make that easy for people to find the emails to send those emails out or make
Yeah.
those calls or whatever it might be.
We actually have on our blog, we posted a blog, a call to action where we've given like a template of a letter that you could copy and paste parts of it, and the email address, the address we use to send it, and the different email addresses and links to find your Congress people. So we've got a lot of those resources
Beautiful.
in the blog post. Just because you're right, like we need to make it easy. Everyone's busy. This is
Everybody's busy. It's
one
true.
more thing to add to your list, which I know is
Yeah,
hard, but hopefully we've made it a little easier.
absolutely. Yeah. So, I wanted to bring you on because many people also believe that Alzheimer's, cognitive decline, brain disease, uh, seizure, stroke, and brain injury are all very, very different. While they are, somewhat, they are different. Much of the tools to rehabilitate our neurology are absolutely are very, very similar. And one thing I learned as I was recovering from a severe traumatic brain injury is that in order for my brain to heal, like, everything else needs to be in order. In order for this to be back in order, everything else needs to be in order. And it's bi-directional. In order for everything else to heal, my brain needs to heal. So both need to be built up at the same time. And that's very much what this functional approach does.
Definitely.
So, could you tell me what are some who are some of the other than Alzheimer's, do you see other patients or conditions in at the Amos Institute?
Yes, so we definitely see other types of dementia. And then we have had many clients in the past who have other neurological conditions, some of which you mentioned, like stroke victims or Parkinson's or whatever it may be. And while we are always very upfront with the fact that our program is based in the Bredesen protocol, which at this point has only been studied in Alzheimer's disease. The data that we currently have is just in Alzheimer's disease. But those people who have these other conditions have looked for something similar for whatever they're dealing with and haven't found a similar type of program. And so they still want to do our program. And we would never say no, because again, as you said, we truly believe, regardless of what you're dealing with, this program can help, because not only we're working to help optimize someone's cognitive state, we're trying to heal their brain, but we're doing that in such a way that we are promoting health span and longevity. And so that was like really ingrained in me in graduate school. My Master of Science is in nutrition, health span, and longevity. Like, do no harm, right? We want to help someone, either prevent or reverse their cognitive decline, but we don't want to do that at the expense of their heart health or the other body systems. We want to help them live a long, healthy life, avoiding all disease up until the end of our life. Isn't that really the goal, right? We want to be healthy, live healthy years up until the point ultimately when we die. I think that's pretty much everyone's goal. So that's the approach that we take. And that does mean that some of what we do is a little bit harder. And I'll just give you an example. Many of our clients carry the genetic variant ApoE4, which puts them at higher risk of Alzheimer's disease. And the research shows that ApoE4 carriers demonstrate this decrease in cerebral glucose utilization. Their brains just aren't utilizing glucose effectively as young as age 30, and some studies are showing as young as in their 20s. So
Right.
we're
And we talk quite a bit about ketogenic metabolism.
okay, yeah, very common when it comes to discussions of the brain. So for ApoE4 carriers in particular, we do need to generate this state of mild ketosis. Um, but what people are reading about when they go online and they look up ketogenic diet, just as an example, is not what we're doing here. We do that in a really plant-based way where we're utilizing a very vegetable heavy diet, which that's carbohydrates, right? So that makes it
100%.
challenging. That makes it hard, but we have to do it that way because that's best for someone's overall health. We can't just load on saturated fats and reduce, phytonutrient rich foods like low glycemic fruits and all of these great non-starchy vegetables. We're not willing to sacrifice those to get someone into ketosis. So that means it's a lot more tweaking involved and going back and forth. But again, that's something that we feel really strongly about because we don't want someone to come down with another chronic condition because they were trying to optimize their brain health.
That's absolutely on point, and it's absolutely in alignment with Feed a Brain and the Feed a Brain ketogenic plan, which is very similar to we had Dr. Annika Becca on not too long ago, and she wrote a book called Keto Green, which is, and I'm like, we're all
Yeah,
talking the same language for sure. It's getting real food, getting
yeah,
lots of it, basically mostly plants, plenty of healthy oils, and some meat, uh, preferably fish or
yeah,
organ meats, or
yeah.
you know, super nutrient dense uh, foods. But yeah, and actually on what you're talking about with brain health not being at the expense of other systems in our body and our other health factors. I wanted to talk with you. You also are a proponent of fasting to a degree. At least a 12-hour fast, which sounds like a lot, but if you eat at 7 and then you go to bed and then you don't eat until 7, then you just fasted 12 hours. So like it's totally doable.
Yeah.
And something that and me as well as many clients will try to push that quite a bit further, to like 16 or however many hours. But the challenge comes when medication is involved. And I was curious what medications that need to be taken with food. um, it makes it so it's less possible to fast for a long period of time. And I was wondering how you address that issue.
It depends on the medication. So we'd work closely with our client to figure out if there are any other workarounds, which sometimes there are, sometimes there are not. So it would depend on the individual's unique need. But I agree with you and your point that some people are certainly, they do better with a more extended fast beyond the 12 hours. In particular, again, ApoE4 carriers, they're better adapted at fasting. So we extend their fast by 2 hours per copy of ApoE4 that they carry. So they just have the one copy, it's about a 14-hour, and 2 copies, we do a 16-hour fast. The challenge that we sometimes come into, because again, Alzheimer's disease hits an older adult population, is we need to avoid frailty. So especially in women they start our nutrition plan, they lose a few pounds just because they're really modifying their diet. And then if they are to implement the longer fasts, sometimes we can see some muscle wasting. So we're really careful to kind of balance that out to make sure that we don't see any adverse effects of fasting. There are such huge benefits to it, but it does need to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. And I would say the same is true for managing medications. or supplements as well. So we have
Mhm.
people who are taking a lot of supplements. Some of those are better absorbed with a meal or with fats or things like that. So that question comes up all the time. Should I still take that supplement? Because I'm trying to get a divided dose and
Mhm.
have enough time in between. So I'm optimizing absorption. So it's a bit of a balancing act. But we take all of that on a case by case basis.
Totally, totally. And I love how you're currently training in functional nutrition from the Institute of Functional Medicine. Yeah, that's great. I'm not trained by the Institute of Functional Medicine, but I trained in functional nutrition as well from Andrea Nakayama's functional nutrition line. I worked for her for years. Yeah, and it's such a systems approach to healing the body. And what I will say is with your program, it's very much like it's very useful for anybody with a brain, in like the modalities and the methodologies. I was introduced to your work actually on a search. I found what you were doing, and it was just so excited that somebody was doing this, and somebody like you doing it as well, like and doing it in such a heart-centered way to where it's getting out there and helping as many people, leaving a really positive mark on the world. And I'm just so appreciative of what you're doing. And yeah, I found you working, trying, like looking for a means to help a client, and have been going through your program. And I am just so appreciative of everything you do and who you are. And thank you for being on the podcast with me.
Well, let me just say, talking about leaving a positive mark, likewise. I mean, that's
Thank you.
exactly what you're doing. So back at you there.
Thank you. Yeah. You know, uh, we stick together.
Yeah,
we, we,
absolutely. Yeah.
we
But
keep on doing it. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
been a pleasure though. Thank you so much for
Oh,
having me.
thank you. All right. See you soon, Amy.
All right. Bye.
Amylee, sorry.
No.
And thank you all so much for being here. Oh, you know what? Glad we're still on, because I wanted to ask you where people can find out more and where they can learn about the Amos Institute.
Absolutely. So I'd say visit amosinstitute.com. That's our website. You can reach us directly from the website on the contact us form, or sign up for our program directly. If someone just wanted some free resources, there's also our blog where we share news. We also have nutrition articles, lifestyle articles, and lots of recipes. So I would encourage them to go to amosinstitute.com/blog as well.
Perfect. Okay. Let's
Thank you.
do this again. Thank you so much, Emily. I'm so appreciative of you.
Thank you.
And thank you all. Till next time, strength and serenity, love and light, rock and roll, y'all.
Bye.
Someone take me to a doctor.